Hi, this is Julie Campbell for Studio Calico, and I am sharing a tutorial today on how to create a paper doll set using some of the new products from February's release called Sugar Rush. I'll be using Photoshop Elements for this tutorial, so if you don't have a copy of Photoshop, you might want to download a free trial on their website. I'll also be using the Silhouette, so if you don't own the Silhouette, you can always print and hand cut all of your items. You'll want to download these digital stamp brushes found in the Studio Calico shop. I'll also be using products from the Sugar Rush card kit as well as some paper from the card kit add-on. So let's go ahead and get started. Go ahead and open up both the boy and the girl ping files into your Photoshop program. I copied each image and then pasted it into a new file so that I had a white background and a little bit larger space to work with. Now we need to add some color. So you can go ahead and select a color over here in your little color palette box, and you can just pick whatever shade of skin that you would like, and then using the bucket tool you can go ahead and fill in any space where there's skin showing. So on the girl it's pretty easy, it's just a few clicks and you're finished. But for the little boy, I'm just going to show you a little hint here. There's a little opening between his face and his shirt. So if I would use the paint bucket here, it would color his shirt flesh colored. So you need to color and fill in that little area. So I just selected a brush tool, and I'm just going to select a solid one that's just kind of tiny here. And once I have everything sized accordingly, you can just use that brush tool to fill in that little gap. Now you can go back to your paint bucket and fill in his face. So now I want to add a little bit of coloring to his cheeks. So we're going to go back into this little paint palette, and I'm just selecting a shade that's a little bit darker than his flesh. And I'm going back to my brush tool, and I want a brush that is it's not quite so solid, and I don't want the opacity to be very strong here. So you can just basically paint on his cheeks until you get a shade that you like. So you can kind of just keep building upon the layers, and it darkens the area just a little bit every time that you do it. So then you just go ahead and do the same thing for the hair and color in everything that you'd like to color. And now I'm just going to use the magic eraser tool to erase the background, and then I'm saving my file as a ping file so that I can open it up and use it easily and simply in my Silhouette software. So now that the little girl and boy image are saved, I'm going to erase everything but their clothes. For the little girl's dress, I want a separate shirt and skirt, so I'm going to just make a copy here so that I don't affect the original one. And I'm wanting to color in the entire image black. Now, when I want to select just her shirt, I'm taking my eraser and I'm separating her shirt from her skirt. And then once again, I'll fill in the clothing with the black paint bucket. So you'll want to do this with all of the clothing, and then we'll save that as another ping file, and we'll be bringing that into the Silhouette software. So now I have my Silhouette software open, and I'm going to find my files and open up both the little boy and girl image and also the clothing. So once I have everything imported, we need to create some cut lines. So I'm using my trace tool, selecting all of my images, and now I'm going to unclick High Pass Filter, move my threshold up to 100%, and then I'm going to tell my machine to trace just the outer edge. So as you can see, we have some cut lines. But I'm going to release the compound path so that I can separate the boy and the girl images from the clothing. So now that everything is separate, I want to create a little white border on the outside of my image. We're actually creating a print and cut. So I want a little bit of a white edge, so I've gone to my offset tool, selected the image, and just sized it until I had a little tiny border there. So now we have two cut lines, but I don't want the inside cut line. I only want the outside cut line. So I'm going to just delete that excess cut line. So now we need to set up the page for a print and cut. So I'm going to go up here to the top of my screen, and I want to show registration marks. My printer only can print letter size paper, so I'm changing the paper size to the appropriate size and then just moving my image where I would like them to be. So at this point you can just go ahead and send it to your printer, and then after that you can place it into your Silhouette to cut out the images. And now you can just use some pattern paper and cut out as many different types of clothes as you would like. So here's a close-up look at what the clothes look like once they've been cut out of pattern paper. I also used some of the additional die cuts from the card kit, such as the crowns and the little star for his shirt. These are adhesive-backed Velcro tabs, and I use them to allow the clothing to be placed onto the paper dolls and easily removed. I also hot glued a small clothespin to the back of each paper doll, and I cut out a few extra sheets of cardstock using the shape of each boy and girl image so that the paper doll itself could be a little bit sturdier once those different layers of cardstock had been adhered together. So now I'm going to show you how to decorate and create the inside of the box for the Sleeping Beauty paper doll. So this is a Project Life box, and as you can see, I've adhered some pattern paper and some embellishments, just kind of covering up anything that has a logo or any kind of text on it. I used some cardstock there on the side, and I love these magnetic closed boxes, but I did leave this side uncovered because I like the wording that's on the side of the box. So now I'm going to show you how to create the bed for Sleeping Beauty to sleep in. I'm going to use a scoreboard and a piece of cardstock, and the pink cardstock is for the main blanket itself. The pink cardstock is measured at 7 3/4 inches by 5 inches, and I'm going to score a line 1.5 inches down on 3 sides of the cardstock. So I'll score both sides here, and then also the bottom. So now I'm going to, this is a little accessory, basically trim piece for the comforter, and I'm scoring 1.5 inches on both ends. And this little piece of cardstock is also 7 3/4 inch long and about 1/2 inch wide. For the pattern paper, I am scoring at 1/2 inch and 1 inch from each end of the pattern paper. And this pattern paper measures 6 inches by 2 3/4 inches. So now that I have everything scored, I am going to take my scissors, and I need to trim one end here along the score line to make the comforter able to fold and to almost create like a box shape. So I'm just going to fold along the scored lines. And then for these little tabs on the end, they're a little bit large. You can leave them just as they are, but I'm just going to trim them down just a little bit and then cut a little angle on the ends to kind of create a little tab. So now that all my trimming's done, I'm just taking my adhesive and applying some adhesive onto each of the little tabs. And that's all the adhesive that you need to create her little blanket. I'm also scoring her a little trim accessory piece here, and I'll apply that to the top. So now you can just fold everything together and assemble her little blanket or comforter. Now the pattern paper is used to create a little pillow for Sleeping Beauty. So I'm just folding there along those score lines. And then the folds just kind of help hold it upright and hold it in place. So now I'll bring back our box and I'll show you how well they fit in here. So that just slides in, and you can just place the little pillow there. And as you can see, the doll fits perfectly inside. And she's got her little bed here. But when you want to store everything later, you can just push everything down into the bottom of the box. Clothing as well. And it can actually hold quite a few different things. So if you make lots of different clothes, that's fine. And then just place your paper dolls in. And the container, the little Project Life box, holds everything in really well. So this completes my tutorial. I hope that you give this a try yourself if you have a little someone who might enjoy a paper doll set. For more information, visit studiocalico.com.